Educate, inspire, change. Educate yourself, inspire others, change the world. So in this podcast, I speak with my good friend Josh Trent. Josh Trent is the founder of Wellness Force. So he has a podcast of his own, and he's a fantastic human being. Josh actually helped me connect with the Rythmia Life Advancement Center the first time, so I owe him a debt of gratitude. We've been doing a number of Facebook Lives of creating content together, and we thought it'd be a great idea to create a podcast for this show. And our conversations just flow. They really do. Josh is an amazing man. We share a lot in common. We both are on a plant medicine journey. We both feel like we have a purpose, and that purpose is to kind of raise the consciousness of the planet and really kind of uniting people together with the power of our podcast, with the power of our voice. So yeah, we talk about a lot of things. Plant medicine, healing, nature, reconnecting with nature. So I really hope that you enjoy this conversation because it's one of my favorite. And I'm sure you're going to see Josh on my podcast every now and again because me and him are going to be interviewing guests together, and we'll probably once every few months have a wee chat and just to bring you guys up to date in what we're doing in our own time.
Everyone can hear that sound, right? That's the sound of everything and nothing at the same time. And this is Josh Trent, and this is Kash Khan. Welcome to this dual podcast. I'm stoked to do this, man. Kash, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling fantastic, man. I'm excited to be launching my podcast and for this to be one of my first ones. And just grateful to be here, grateful to be on this journey with you. And I'm excited to see what's going to come up in this podcast, you know?
Me too, man. You know, you and I have these epic conversations, and just capturing them on a podcast, you know, back and forth, almost like a tennis match. And we're in this unique time in human evolution right now. And I got to tell you, man, it's pretty fucking crazy. I've had some experiences this year, as I'm sure we're going to talk about, that have been so profound, so monumental, so life-changing that I can look back on the 38 years that brought me to 2019. And I'm like, wow, there's been more in these past 12 months that have occurred for me in spiritual growth and honestly just awareness than any other time in my life, man. How do you feel about this time in human history? Like, what are we doing here? What's going on?
It's been an insane 12 months, Josh. And it's not just me, not just you. It seems to be everyone that's involved with plant medicine. Yeah. They all say the same thing. They all feel like it's a call to arms. It's like there's a shift in the planet and the energy. And it's as if like there's some people that are being called to this plant medicine journey, and it feels like we have a role to play and that we have a calling to carry out. And it feels like our healing is going to heal the planet, you know? It's almost like nature is calling us to save the planet, and our way of doing that is healing ourselves, you know. And a lot of people say this, that if they feel like it's a call to arms, you know, like people doing psychedelics, people practicing mindfulness, yoga and meditation, we're all changing our frequency, we're all tuning into a more higher vibration, and we're all kind of healing ourselves, and we're all healing the planet and the people around us. And I feel like we're going to play a very pivotal role in the future of humanity, you know. People forget how powerful we are, and what we do influences, you know, almost forever. I mean, what actions you make today will influence your kids, your grandkids, and countless numbers of your friends and your family, and it will influence generations and generations. So you're going to have an influence on millions, if not billions, of people, you know. So it's about time that people start to recognize how important and how powerful you are, and that what you do makes a difference. How you behave and how you act, it impacts not just you, but it'll impact the world for the rest of eternity, you know? So you can choose to impact the rest of eternity in a positive way, or you can choose to have no impact, or you can choose to have a negative impact. It's up to you what choice you want to make, you know?
I heard the word choice in there like 4 times, and that's the most powerful thing we have, because it's crazy. We have some people tuning in right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on the replay, or if you're watching this live right now, let us know where you're watching from. Hi, Jerry. Jerry says, love you guys. Catalina, hello, Jim. So Kash and I wanted to jump on here to explore just what we're actually doing with our lives and how our lives actually matter. And I got to tell you, man, like I've always wanted to know your story about how you founded educate, inspire, change. It's pretty obvious to me that you guys are going through a massive shift right now. If you watching this are going through a shift, let us know, like raise your hand. Let us know what shift you're going through as a human being, because we're always shifting. I'm raising my hand, but man, tell us, like, just give us the quick skinny on how you actually founded this brand, and also too, like, what's the change that you're going through?
Sure, man. So like, to give you a bit of insight into my background, and for anyone that doesn't know, I was raised a Muslim into quite a strict household, you know? So like, freedom of expression was frowned upon. I wasn't allowed to really socialize with girls, especially. So I had a lot of walls built around me growing up.
So you literally couldn't talk to women?
Yeah, as a child, I could talk to women, but like having a relationship or having a girlfriend was like a no. I couldn't do that, you know. So like, as an 18-year-old boy being raised in a Western country, being told you can't have a girlfriend, you can imagine the kind of friction that I was up against, you know. And so like, I went through a lot of friction in my childhood, and then in my 20s, my parents divorced, and then all of a sudden I was kind of thrust into society with very little tools as to how to kind of manage myself, how to manage love, how to manage relationships. Yeah. I didn't know how to take it all in. So being kind of like a risk taker by nature, I started experimenting with drugs. I started going out, and I kind of went down the wrong paths, you know. But with hindsight, it's all perfect, because it led me to where I am today. It taught me all the life lessons that I needed to learn in order to be the person I am today, you know. And so like, I spent my 20s being a DJ, in and out of jobs, opening and closing businesses, partying, drinking, doing drugs, in and out of relationships. I was very much lost. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know whether I was coming or whether I was going, you know. And so all this led up to me. I met a girl when I was in my mid-20s, and she got pregnant with my first son, who's now 10 years old. And me and her obviously split up, and it resulted in me not being able to see my son, you know. So this is the first time where I had to do a real reality check, where I realized that, listen, what I'm doing to myself is really impacting my child and my family. So I needed to take a stop and kind of evaluate my life, you know. Yeah. And it still took me 2 or 3 years to fight. I was fighting in court to have access to my son, and I knew I wasn't going to win this battle, because the court systems here are very, very old-fashioned. They're very pro-mothers and very against fathers. So I knew the best I was going to get was like an hour a week in a supervised center, you know. So that's when I came home and I saw my son for the first time, and I decided to open my laptop. And I thought to myself, what can I do here that's going to help this situation? I thought, I need to write down what I stand for, so that one day my son will read these words and he'll know that this is what my father is, this is who he is, and this is where I come from, you know? So I literally picked 3 words that resonated with me deeply: educate, inspire, and change, because I thought those are the things that the world needs: more education, more inspiration, and more change. And I wrote those words down, and it just became almost like an obsession. You know, I started this Facebook page. I started sharing content about what's happening around the world, raising awareness and things. I was a big fan of people like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Gandhi, all these kind of names that I loved and admired, Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali. I would share their quotes and their articles, and then it just grew and grew and grew until eventually I built the courage up to walk away from my religion, to start becoming a vegetarian, to change my lifestyle, to promote positivity. And then this attracted my next partner, Marie, who I've now got 2 beautiful children with, and then attracted the attention of some plant medicine retreats in Costa Rica. Yes. Shout out to Jerry and Rythmia, our good friends. And I started that plant medicine journey this year in March. And in the last 8 months, I can honestly say that I've done more and move forward more than I have in the last 4 years, you know, or 5 years. Yeah. It's really been or even 10 years. I mean, it's just been a crazy, crazy journey. I feel like the plant medicine that I've done has just woken me up inside. It's reconnected me to my soul. It's reminded me why I'm here, and it's allowed my family to heal. My mother's healing, my brother's healing, my partner's healing, my kids are happier. It's just like a beautiful, beautiful time to be alive. And this podcast even is starting as a result of my plant medicine journey. So everything I'm doing now just stemming from that inspiration that's given me the courage and the desire to press on, to share my message of truth with the world. And obviously, like, I used to have a stutter and a stammer, and I used to be very nervous about being on camera. Yeah. So this is one of my intentions during my plant medicine journey, was please give me the strength, give me the confidence in myself so that I can communicate better and more clearly with my audience, because I have 3 million Facebook followers. And the fact that it took me until 2019 from 2012 to start making these videos just shows you how much I've came in a short space of time, you know?
Oh man, there's so much there, Kash. There's so much there to unpack, man. Like let me pull the e-brake, because you talked about, I didn't know that you had another 10-year-old son, and that was like the fuel and the fire for you to sit down at that laptop and type in, what am I actually going to leave for this world? Like, how am I actually going to leave something significant for this world? And I got to feel, I feel that right now in me. I don't have children yet, but there's that call to arms to be a father. And it's funny because, you know, we hold our children in our arms. We hold the people that we care about in our arms. And this call to arms that you're talking about, there's a call to arms with people that are actually putting out information that is going to affect change. There was something in that moment when you were sitting at the laptop that was coming from a place of love. It wasn't frustration, right? Like, what was your primary motivation to actually push enter and start Educate, Empower, Change? Was it your son? Was it the fact that you had gone through the court system and there was like frustration there, or was it more love?
I think it was the fact, like, I was looking at myself through his eyes. And I was asking myself, do I like what I see? Like, I see somebody with no direction. I see somebody with no passion. I see somebody that isn't making a positive impact on the world, you know? Yeah. So I think it was like, obviously the plant medicine journey reconnected me to my soul. So that reconnected me to my inner child. But like 7 years ago when I started EIC, I still wasn't connected to my soul. So it was my son that I was using to get that connection, you know? He was like a gift, and I was channeling my energy through him, you know? I was saying, I need to be a better person for him so that he looks at me, he looks up to me, you know. I don't want him to look down on me or to be ashamed of me or to see me in any negative light, you know. So he was the inspiration behind it. Certainly all these things were always in me. I mean, I remember being at school and I was always interested in anti-racism and Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. So there was always this curious nature. I was always rebelling. I was always interested in understanding the world. And I was always like, very curious about space, about science, about spirituality. So I was always asking questions, but it took me until the age of 30 and had to have this big experience in my life to really use all that energy in a positive way, as opposed to putting all that energy into a negative place, you know?
Yeah, I can relate to this because I think I've always had like a rebellious spirit. I think that's why you and I bond, man. That's why we get along. And I think this rebellious spirit, like Alan Watts calls it rascality, right? You and I are huge fans of Alan Watts. I mean, he's in some of the art on your website. So I think about this rascality based heart, which is really just coming from a place of wanting to enjoy life. But sometimes for some people, man, like the rascality, it leads them down this really dark path. And then we see greed and we see all these kind of dark energetic forces that are totally present here on planet Earth. But at our core, when we all begin this life path, we come into this world with the heart of a child. We come into this world to enjoy. I mean, you guys watching or listening right now, like, can you relate to this? At some point in your life, you go through this soul split, right? And it's through trauma. And they talk about this at Rythmia a lot. There's the soul split where something happens. Later on, we figure out that it happens for us. But in the moment with our young psyche, it feels like it's happening to us. And we make a decision. It's like, okay, because of this abuse, because of this thing, because of whatever is coming in, I'm going to choose to disconnect my heart and my head. And for me, that was very early on. It was me being in an incubator when I was born. People don't really know this about me, but I came into the world. I was less than 5 pounds, Kash, when I was here. I came into the world a month early, and it's because I felt in my mother's nervous system that I can even look into my baby's soul that my mom's body wasn't safe for me to be in anymore. You know, there was a lot of fighting. She was dealing with a mental illness. Mental health is something that I'm very passionate about because I've had firsthand experience with it. And what I can see now, talking about this soul split, what I can see now is that when my soul split, it's what brought me to you. It's what brought me to us right now, because that soul split was, the world isn't a safe place. People can't be trusted. And then I even took on another belief that money causes pain. And at 39, now my whole life has been unraveling the soul split and unraveling all of these beliefs that, to be honest, man, they're not even mine. Like, can you relate to this? Taking on beliefs that aren't even yours and then doing the work to let them go?
Oh, 100%, bro. Like I mentioned earlier, how we're raised with all these walls around us. So we're told what to believe. We're told what to think about society, what to think about money, what to think about alcohol or food, and then we just believe that without questioning it, So one of my biggest aims with Educate, Inspire, Change has been to inspire people to think for themselves, to realize that they are enough. You don't need to rely on everyone else for your dues. You don't need to rely on everyone else for approval. You are enough, So like me, for example, money's a big one. So growing up, I gave money a very bad energy, Like my father made a lot of money, and it changed the way he behaved, and it resulted in my mom and father getting divorced. So I had a negative impression of money. I thought it was evil, and everywhere you looked online, money is evil, money is the root of all evil. Yeah. And so all this negative energy was, around money. So myself, I would manifest money, but then I would lose it very quickly. I'd find myself being able to make money, but then I would never be able to keep it, and I would wonder why. Like, why do I do this? Like I would take up gambling. I would find expensive taste in clothes, expensive taste in cars, expensive taste in women, and I would just throw my money away, having no care for the money or for myself, And I realized recently in the plant medicine journey that this was coming from a place of lack of self-love, Because I didn't love myself, I felt like I didn't deserve that money, and I was giving the money bad energy, and therefore the money was just leaving me, But when you change your perception of what money is, it's just a form of energy. Then you can use that money for good. Because I make money now, I'm able to look after my body. I'm able to travel the world. I'm able to educate my children. I'm able to create safe environments where we can, really kind of flourish. And I can spread plant medicine. I can create this podcast. I can buy microphones. I can do lots of good with money.
Because of money. So money is energy.
Exactly. So this is a big thing for me, So like being able to change your perception of things is a big thing. Yeah. How do you perceive something? Because every failure, every bad thing that happens is just a lesson. And what do you take from that lesson, And for me, like that moment when I had my laptop open, when I was thinking about what I should be for my son, I could have chose to go another path, At the time, I was heavily medicating myself on alcohol and drugs. I could have easily said, I'm not going to see my son anymore. Screw it. It's not going to work. And I could have just turned to the nearest bar or pub and started drinking and taking drugs to kind of deal with my pain, Yeah. But instead, I chose to open the laptop and make a decision that, no, I'm going to be better. So it's at these moments that define your life. I do believe that a lot of our destiny and fate is written out, but it comes to a few defining moments in your life. What choice are you going to make when you've lost everything, when you've got nothing left to go for, What are you going to do in those moments? I look at people like Muhammad Ali, other people like Will Smith or Conor McGregor, all these people that are very famous and well known and make a lot of money. They all had very low points when they had nothing going for them, when they had like nowhere to turn. But in their minds, they had a really strong visualization and even when I think it was Conor McGregor who said that he was going to his plumbing job and he was driving his girlfriend's banged up car, and he had no hope. His father was beating him up. He had no friends. He had he wasn't going anywhere, but he said, I was visualizing myself in a Bentley because I was the world's #1 MMA fighter. That was what he thought at the time,
right. That's right. I remember seeing him, Kash. He was talking about it's easy to use the law of attraction when everything's working in your favor. But really the work that he was talking about, I think he was doing an interview on BBC or something. And he was like, when I visualized it, I was in the worst place that it could have ever been visualized in. In other words, I didn't have any of the things that my desire was calling in, but yet he still did it. I mean, look what this dude's accomplished. I mean, look, he's not like the model pillar of society. Like he's got his issues just like we all do, but look what he's accomplished by just tuning into that energy.
Exactly, yeah. And he's not the only one. I think it was Jim Carrey. He's got a great story where he wrote himself a check for $10 million. And this check deteriorated. It was in his wallet for many years, but it was always there. So the fact that he had that vision to do that and he had no money, he had no jobs, he wasn't getting any acting jobs, but then, he still kept this check in his wallet and he still had this goal, he still had this dream, even despite, if he told anyone, they'd laugh at him. And this is one of the big things for me is like growing up, I was always worried about what other people thought, like, are they going to laugh at me if I dance? Are they going to laugh at me if I tell them what my dream is? Are they going to laugh at me if I tell them what my goals are? And so I'd often keep these things to myself, you kind of the fear of what other people, fear of judgment is basically what it is, So when you can get rid of that fear of judgment and you only focus on the positive energy, on surround yourself with people who don't judge you, and you give yourself that self-belief, anything is possible. Like right now, me talking to you, I used to think, what are people going to think on the other end of this camera? Are they going to judge me for how I speak? And instead, I'm focusing on the message that we have to share, and that's all that matters.
Man, I feel this deeply because I was talking with my friend Jay Brown. We actually went down to Rythmia with Beyonce's tour manager so shout out to Jay if you're watching this, and also shout out to Alan Floyd, because the whole Hollywood, I guess you could say even archetype, is people feel like when they get to Hollywood that they've accomplished something. When they get to there, then they've accomplished something. But what I get from your story, and even from mine, is that we create either consciously or subconsciously the thresholds of growth that'll actualize our higher self. In other words, you didn't really know when you sat down at that computer that you'd be sitting here with me now and we're talking to 3 million people. You had no idea, right? You had a vision. Your higher self was calling you through something, but you didn't know. Yeah. And the same thing happened to me, man, because there's been multiple times in my life where I just have created the external framework for me to actually push through and lean into my growth, never knowing exactly how the outcome was going to come. I mean, there was multiple times where I thought, am I going to keep doing this? Like a bottom of the barrel moment. Even one specific moment that's in a way kind of a mirror to yours, where you came back from court, you were sitting at the computer, you're like, what am I going to do with my life? Man, when I started the Wellness Force podcast, it was 2015. I had gotten fired from a job, which is a beautiful gift.
Really?
It was a corporate cell where I was in a cubicle. And by the way, all love, if you're in a cubicle and you love what you do, keep doing it. There's nothing wrong with being in a cubicle, y'all. If you're in a cubicle, let us know. Like, are you enjoying your job? If you're watching this or listening and you're feeling like, I'm in a cubicle and my job is great, well, that's awesome. But I was committing spiritual suicide. Like, there was so much pressure in my chest. And I got this gift of being fired. And we all know this. Like, if you've been fired, or if you've lost a relationship, or if you've moved, these are all really stressful moments in life. Yeah. And so what happened to me
Sorry, Josh, sorry to interrupt. So what was it that actually inspired you when you got sacked? What was it that motivated you what made the decision to start Wellness Force, to start your own podcast? Was that always in you somewhere? Were you always thinking about it? Or did something happen that kind of led you to creating Wellness Force?
The creation of Wellness Force started with my history that I was telling you about, of being born into a situation that my soul chose, where my mom was manic bipolar. My dad had cognitive dissonance. He was gone when I was 2 months old. So right from the get-go, Kash, like, there was a big dark contrast for me to grow through. Little did I know that I'd just be tapping into the energy that we all have, which is the force of wellness. Everybody's born with innate wellness. We are sentient beings. This world that we come in, we are all loved, we're all supported, but we don't know it. We don't realize it. And I didn't realize it for the first 20, almost 30 years of my life. I didn't even have any sense of what Wellness Force or what the energy that we're all loved really came from. And so when I left fitness, I was 10 years in fitness. And when I left the fitness industry, I didn't know what I was going to do. Like, can you guys relate to this? You're in the space between like purposes. You quit one thing, you haven't had clarity on the other. So you're in this limbo. There's a space of limbo where it's like, what am I going to do? And so in that space of limbo, I was in this space of limbo. I went to corporate America because I wanted, quote, the safe job. I wanted to feel like my bills were paid. I wanted to feel like my nervous system can rest. And for a while it served me, but I would get up every morning and I would have this little voice that would whisper to me, and it would say, what about Wellness Force? What about your dreams? Because I had purchased the website and I'd wanted to do podcasting, and I just put it in a little box on the side. And I would go and check on it every year or so and be like, okay, my dream's still there. I'll get to it someday. I'll get to it someday. And when the universe kicked my ass, and when the universe got me fired from that job in 2015, it was a gut check moment. It was like, you're either going to do this or you're going to go the other way. And just like that scene in The Matrix where Neo had to look down and she said, you've already been down that road. You know exactly where that goes. That was the way I felt about going back to corporate America. I knew that I couldn't do it. And honestly, I would rather die than do it. So I just made the decision. I will figure out exactly what to do, and I will figure out exactly how to make this successful. And that's what I've done. So the big moment for me was creating Wellness Force came from a place of my own pain and my own discovery, where I knew there was more to life than this. I knew there was more to life than just the same monotonous daily kind of order taking that so many of us can, and lovingly I say this, so many of us can fall prey to. There's another way, and that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I think that's super powerful. And I think a lot of people I speak to these days will take a lot from your story, and be inspired by it, because I would say like 80% of people I talk to, they aren't in happy jobs. They aren't content with their life. They're almost, I would go as far as saying, very unhappy with their life. Yep. They're just working in a job that pays bills to live in a house that they're never in, and they pay for a car that they use to get to and from work. It's almost like mindless, and so, taking the risks like you have and taking the risks like I have, I really wanted to try to inspire people out there, have self-belief in yourself and take risks. Because if you never take risks in your life, you're never going to know what you're capable of. You have to get out of your comfort zone to really find your potential. We're all capable of so much, but most of us never realize that potential. So it's a case of pushing boundaries, and that's what you've done. That's why you're here talking to me today, and that's why you've traveled to where you've traveled. That's why you've been on the journeys you've been on and met the people you've met, because you believed in yourself. I mean, me as well. I would never have imagined myself in this position a year ago, even although I had Educate, Inspire, Change. I still wasn't ready to put myself out there and to be on camera and to do plant medicine. Exactly. Yeah. Now I'm delighted people are watching this, because I want to be the inspiration for them to quit that job and to take that risk and to do that plant medicine journey, or do that risk, or tell that person you love them, because life is too short. You have one chance at this life, and just enjoy it. And that leads me on to another topic. So me and you have both met through a place called Rythmia, which is in Costa Rica. Yeah. And this is a beautiful place where people do plant medicine. It's like a healing retreat. So I want to know a bit more about you, because I haven't really spoken much to you about your journeys and what you took from them and how you felt during them, and kind of the impact they had on you. And maybe you can, because I know I've had a lot of profound experiences on them, but I'd love to know a bit more about, when was your first journey? How did it change you? And where have you come since then?
My first journey, 2014, I was in a relationship at that time, and I was drawn to plant medicine through her. So before I ever got to Rythmia, man, I had done, I think five or six ceremonies. And the first time I got to the plant medicine, we came to find out that the shaman wasn't necessarily safe. And a lot of people deal with this too, because there's a lot of people, quote, serving medicine that necessarily shouldn't be doing it. That was the case for me in 2014. But I did get this peace. I did get this little breakthrough where I was feeling sick. I went to the restroom, and this is what happens with plant medicine, is you puke and you shit. So if you guys haven't done plant medicine, most likely 90% of you or more will puke and shit. So I'm in the bathroom and I'm puking and shitting. And I just had this moment where I was like, why am I even doing this? What is going on? And we all can relate to this, being at the pit, being at the bottom of the well where everything's bleak, and whether it's a journey or a ceremony or life. And then somehow in those moments, there's just this connection to something else. When we're beaten down to our knees, and then all of a sudden, a ray of light comes through. That's what happened. I felt this energy. I mean, I can even feel it right now just talking to you about it. I felt this energy over my left shoulder when I was on the toilet, and it was just for a moment. And it was like being hugged by every grandmother, every mother, every feminine person that's ever walked this earth was holding me. And it was the most washed, beautiful, loving feeling I'd ever experienced. And I remember
that's amazing. Yeah.
I remembered that. I felt this part of me just relax into the surrender of being held by a feminine energy that honestly I'd never experienced. I just never fucking experienced it. It never happened before. And so I said, okay, I might come back. I might be back. It took me a full year to come back. So an entire year to come back to the medicine, and then having tremendous breakthroughs in the next 4 years. Starting the podcast was one of them, doing a sound healing journey where I had tears coming out of my eyes, and really just my spiritual awakening happening really in 2014, the beginning of this path. And it came through the medicine, Along with that though, Kash, I did emotional intelligence trainings and retreats. And I had always been interested in, how do I be the most emotionally intelligent human man per se? So what brought me to Rythmia was they reached out to me and they were like, hey, we've heard your podcast. We want you to interview our founder on your show. And I was like, great, I'm already on the medicine path. Let's go. I had no fucking idea of the roller coaster I was about to go on, as maybe you didn't either. And so I get there, and, it's 4 ceremonies in a row. By the 4th night, I'm just crying because of this deep healing that I had. We all, myself included, we all have wounds to our parents. I don't care if you look at the spiritual explanation or if you look at the scientific explanation. From in utero all the way up to 7 or 10 years old, we all have imprintings, right? So if you look at Gabor Mate's work, or if you look at the explanations from Graham Hancock, or even Dispenza, or just anyone who's on the bleeding edge of science, what happened to me was I was in a situation where I didn't necessarily know what it was to have a home space or a headquarters of living that I could trust. And so my little nervous system was just freaking out all the time. And that developed a lot of anger issues for me as an adult, specifically towards women, right? Because I couldn't trust my mom, so how could I trust women? And what happened was, in that fourth night of ceremony, Kash, at Rythmia in 2018, I'm seeing myself in my baby through my baby's eyes. I'm looking at my mother through my baby's eyes. I mean, I just got a chill in my arm explaining this to you. I look over at the dresser in my mom's room, and on the dresser, I had carved with a knife, "Love one another." And I knew at that moment that it was real. Like I had teleported back there. I was right there, and I'm looking at my mom through my baby's eyes. I'm in my baby's body, myself as a baby. And I just feel this deep well of compassion and this deep well of understanding for her, because all the things that I wanted, I was demanding that she would give me, but she could only give what she could give. Because we're all in this, I saw how it all connected. We're all in this perpetual cycle of parents not giving to their kids what they really want to, but you know why? They didn't get it from their parents. And it's a psychosomatic connection where, and in that moment, man, my life changed forever. I mean, my relationship with my mom has been dramatically and profoundly transformed. I communicate with her from a place of love. And now I just understand what this life is all about. It's about compassion, love, connection, and understanding. Yeah. The understanding is what allows us to really live life well.
Yeah. What one word that comes out to me based on your story is empathy. You know, what the medicine gives you is it really allows you to go really deep and into empathy. Because when you look at people, you no longer look at them for what they do or how they speak or what they do to you. You look deeper. You look at their past. You wonder why they are the way they are, and you understand them. You know. Yeah. So having empathy for me is a very, very important thing. Because when I look at people, I'm putting myself in their shoes, and I'm trying to understand them better. So then when they do something that might harm me or hurt me, I'm not judging them, and I'm also not being hurt by them because I understand. So it's a very, very powerful tool. You know, people think being empathetic or understanding is a weakness, you know, but it's actually the most strong thing you can do. When you understand where people are coming from, it gives you a bigger perspective on things, and it allows you to manage that relationship better and to navigate through it with much more ease. And it also helps you to project that positivity onto them as well, you know, because I had a similar situation. I had relationships with my parents weren't the best growing up, you know, especially when I was a teenager. There was a lot of fighting and a lot of resentment, a lot of, you know, anger and bitterness towards my father, especially. But now through the medicine, you're able to look at him through a child's eyes. I'm able to visualize my father when he was a child, and I'm able to understand what happened to him when he was young and how that shaped him into an adult that was angry and upset, and he didn't know how to be a father, you know. So it's just takes me from that place of bitterness to a place of love, you know, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful journey, and empathy, and then also gratitude. Because when I'm doing ayahuasca to try to make people understand, I'm having these profound, overwhelming visuals and experiences where I'm seeing things and I'm feeling things that I can't express in words, you know. And it just gives you a sense of gratitude that you feel like, wow, you know, what have I done to deserve this? And then you see your higher self, and you see all these beautiful beings and beautiful energies, and you feel it, and then all this energy comes out of your body, and you release all the trauma and all the pain and all these issues you've had for so long, and then you just feel so light and beautiful. And this is the kind of message I want to get across to people who are thinking about doing the medicine, is they want to understand more about it, is just to kind of, if you feel called at all to the medicine, just do it, because you're going to have such a profound experience. It's going to be the scariest thing you've ever done and the most beautiful thing you've ever done in the same night, you know. Every
that
night
sounds about right.
You know, every night is like, you're like, I mean, almost every night I'm wishing it to end, you know. I'm like, oh my God, when will this end? Why am I doing this? But then by the end of it, I'm just flying through air, you know. I'm just floating, and I'm just so happy to be alive. I'm so grateful to be there, and I'm just downloading all this information, and then I'm able to take that and then bring it into my daily life, you know. One of the most profound experiences I had on my last journey at Rythmia was one night, like it was really weird, but I was channeling my inner bird, you know. Like it was really strange.
You were channeling your inner bird.
inner bird. I felt like I was a bird, you know. It's just weird because I was doing the mannerisms and the behaviors of a bird, you know. I was like whistling to the songs, and I never whistle, and I was stretching my arms, and I was like, you know, spreading my wings, and even other people were whistling to me, and I was whistling back to them, and it was like we were bird calling each other, you know. And it was really strange experience. But then I was looking at my arms, and I was looking at my hands tattoos and my neck tattoos, and I realized I've got birds and wings all over me, you know.
Yes.
Like I've always been drawn to these things, but I realized there's a reason for it. It's because maybe in a past life, maybe I was a bird or something along those lines, you know. So I kept getting up and I kept dancing, and I kept going back down and stopped dancing because I was worried what people were thinking of me. And then I thought, you know what, screw it. Like I'm just going to dance and express myself freely and be myself and not worry. And I was like spreading my wings, you know. And there was another woman there, Irene. She was like jokingly saying, Kash, I could see you walking around and I could see you flapping your wings. And she goes, I just got my wings as well. So I was following you around the ceremony space to see how to use mine because I wanted to learn from you. And it was really, really weird experience, you know, but like, it's just one of those moments that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life because it was like they say like the first one of the things you get on ayahuasca is you see animals. So I remember I used to see animals, but then when you actually become one, you actually feel like you're looking at the world through the animal's eyes is when you've kind of evolved to that next level, you know. So you can now start to express yourself and almost live like that animal lives. And they say that you should study how that animal kind of lives and exists, and then that will teach you a lot about yourself, you know. So like birds like to be free. I need to be free, you know. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. I like to do my own thing because I find it very hard to take orders from above, especially if I don't agree with them, you know. I don't work well in confined areas. I need to be free to express myself, to do what I want, when I want, how I want. And this is just like birds, you know. They need to be able to travel. They don't want to be caged, you know. So like it taught me a lot about myself, and there was just a lot of synchronicities that were beautiful for me. And that's just one of the things I wanted to kind of share with people watching this, because they're probably going to see me talking a lot more about my plant medicine journeys. And I'd like to know about you as well. Did you have any experiences on ayahuasca where you related to animals in any way?
You know what? It's funny. We had some dinner guests over this week, and we were saying like, "What's your spirit animal?" And we were going around the table. Yeah. And for me, I've always felt connected to bears, just because really? bears take their time, man. Bears. I'd want to be a clean bear though, because sometimes bears kind of smell. I'd want to be a bear that is really like the king of their domain. And a bear is on the California flag. I think I felt connected to that because I was born in California. I was born in La Mesa, which is this kind of sleepy little town in 1980 when I was born. And I've just felt connected to bears. However, in ceremonies though, it's different for everyone. Like you talk about that you've had a lot of visions and maybe you even turned into a bird. I never had those. And it's different for everyone. Like sometimes in ceremonies, people will have a lot of visions, you know, fractals and they'll have animals coming in and they'll be blasted off to other places. For me, with my eyes open, I don't see really any visuals. It's with my eyes closed that I transport. And so all of my ceremonies, what's happened for me is I'll have a feeling wash over because of my archetype and because of how I'm built. I feel things first and then I see them second. So I've never had like big, strong visuals come in and make me feel something. It's always like the feeling that guides me first. So I've never really had situations where animals have come through. Although one of my friends, he said he turned into a puma. So I mean, I get it, right? And I think this is kind of like this is fun because we can laugh about this and we can treat this with like a lightheartedness, but also on the other side of the coin, it's a very serious, profound, and challenging fucking thing. Like this is not for everyone, and I know that you've talked about this too. Like doing a ceremony, you feel called to it in some way, and then the real work of the ceremony, Kash, begins in the 3D when we come back. This is the whole point of it all. Exactly. Man. I'd love to jam with you about this because when we come back, that's when the real work begins. That's when all the things from ceremony actually start, is integrating them here, loving more here, being fully present here. Why else would we do a ceremony if we're not going to come back here to where people are needing the help and the connection most, right here in the 3D?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the ceremonies aren't easy. I mean, people maybe have this stigma where they think, oh, people are going away to the jungle to get high and to trip, but we're not. We're going there to do the work, you know, and it really feels like work. So we're puking, we're shitting, we're in dark places, we're there for hours and hours, and sometimes it feels like days and days because you can lose all track of time. So like it's a lot of stress to put yourself through, but it's worth it because you feel like you're doing it for a good reason with a good end result, you know. Yeah. And then you say like you come back home, and 90% of the work is when you come home. How are you going to now manage your life, and how are you going to use this information you've been blessed with, and how are you going to adapt that to your day-to-day use, So me, for example, like I've been quite open with my addictive nature and my past and my relationship with gambling and drugs and alcohol. Yeah. So like, it's not like it's something that's completely out of my system. I'll be honest, I still smoke occasionally. I still feel the urge to go out and drink and go on like, on a bender and all. I feel the urge, it's there, it's in me. And that's one of the reasons why I'm going to do Iboga in a couple of weeks, and actually 9 days time, because Iboga is like, as you know, a very powerful medicine.
Welcome to a whole new jungle, Kash. You're about to go do Iboga.
Yeah. Exactly, man. So like for me, like it's been a struggle coming back and resisting temptation, silencing that inner voice. So I'm trying to silence my ego, and I'm trying to listen more to my soul. Yeah. And my soul is the voice of my 4-year-old or 3-year-old inner child. It's saying to me, love yourself. It's saying to me, give love and be love and just be happy and surround yourself with family and friends. But then my ego is saying, go to that strip club, go to that casino, go to go here and do some drugs and have some fun and let go, So it's for me, I'm kind of trying to listen to that voice more and silence that one more. But I'm also not beating myself up about this voice. I understand that my ego is part of me. That ego brought me here today, It took me on a journey that I had to go on to bring me here. So I'm kind of embracing both. I'm just being careful with which one I'm giving more attention to, Like there's nothing wrong with having a beer or having a whiskey or smoking a cigarette once in a blue moon when you're feeling stressed, Like it's okay. This is me. It's part of my life. Like I've always felt like I have a dark side and a good side, and it's about finding a balance between both, Yeah. And it's about being at peace with both sides. So people, what maybe like 3 months ago or 2 months ago, I did go out and I did have a bit too much to drink, and I was beating myself up. But I came home and I thought, do you know what? That was fun. I had fun. So it's your intention. I now change my intention when I go out to drink. If I'm going out to drink with friends, my intention is I'm going to enjoy myself. I'm going to enjoy my company. I'm going to enjoy this alcohol, and I'm going to look at it as a medicine. It's going to heal me. It's going to relax me. It's going to help me to laugh, and that's my intention now. Whereas previously, my intention was I'm going to get shit faced, and I'm going to go home in 2 days, and I'm going to get shouted at, and I want to forget. I want to forget my problems, So like,
this is so good.
Yeah,
a big part of what I'm feeling from you too is like at the core of what you're describing for all of us. We all know we're either mindful and intentional about what we're doing, or we're just being completely unaware, completely unconscious. This is what leads people to go on 2-week-long benders and then come back home with like half their face tattooed, right? I bet you when Mike Tyson got his face tattooed, he was probably on a bender, man. I'm just throwing it out there, So there's a bunch of stuff that came through for me from your download. The first thing is the yin yang, right? A little bit of dark, a little bit of white. This is why we have the yin yang. This is the whole point, because you were like, yeah, there's a part of me that knows I've always had a dark side. It's beautiful. Let's just admit that we all have a dark side. Hello. Why do you think that Star Wars has Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader? This is the whole point of this life. So I was really feeling you when you described that, because I was thinking about Osho. I'm sure you've all seen maybe you've seen this too, Kash, the Wild Wild Country documentaries on Netflix. Yeah. So Osho really was like this spiritual being. He helped all these people, but dude had like 15 Rolls Royces and 12 Rolexes and a bunch of women that he used. So, and I've even heard a quote that when Osho was on his deathbed, one of the last things that he said is that we can never fully transcend the ego. And I feel like that's the whole point of us being here, is never to be perfect, never to say, I'm never going to drink, I'm never going to smoke, I'm never going to do anything. Life wouldn't have that rascality that we're talking about earlier with Alan Watts. Like, this is actually part of the surrender process for me, is to just be okay and accept that when I feel the awareness, when I feel the intentionality to go have fun, to blow off some steam, to do something that might not be perfectly healthy, it's still healthy because I say so, because I'm putting my mindfulness and my heart and my intention behind it. Tammy says the two wolves. Exactly. Which wolf do we feed? Which one do we feed? Do we feed the shame wolf, the bitterness wolf, or do we feed the loving wolf and acceptance wolf, and the wolf that says, if you want to go have some drinks with friends, just do it from a place of enjoyment and connection, right? Exactly. I mean, isn't this why we're here, dude? Exactly. Is to connect and to love one another. If we're busy shaming ourselves, nothing good can come from that. Shame is the ultimate darkness. And I feel like a lot of what you and I have shared today is about us really just letting go, a continual letting go of shame, a continual letting go of judgment, really, of judgment, man.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, and you mentioned shame. Like shame, yeah, it's probably the low. They say that shame is the lowest form of thought, and gratitude is the highest form of thought. You know, so like if you're constantly in a state of shame, you're vibrating so low, it's very easy for energy to get into you and penetrate you and impact you in a negative way, you know. But when you're grateful for life, grateful for anything, all this negative energy around you, it can't impact you. It can't. It's like you've got a shield, you know, and no negative energy can penetrate you.
It's like a fucking force field. Like it can't get through.
100. Yeah, 100%. I mean, think about people when they're children, when the most special day of your life, when you're getting married or when your child's born. Think of how you feel on that day. Nothing's going to ruin your day. Nothing's going to get in the way of you and that child, or nothing's going to come between you and your wife or your husband. You know, because you're vibrating such a high frequency. If you can just keep that energy in your day-to-day life, if you can wake up every morning and be grateful for life, if you can breathe in life and be grateful just to be alive, be grateful just to have food and shelter and love family and loved ones, and to be grateful for nature. If you can express that gratitude every day, then that shield's going to be around you at all times, you know. And there will be negative things that go on everywhere. Depression is real. Like bad things happen, crimes happen, prostitution happens, murders happen. You know, there's death everywhere. But like if you can vibrate at a high frequency, if you can be grateful for the good, then eventually our energy will impact the world in such a way that all these negative things will start to happen less and less frequently, until hopefully we can reach a stage in the future where the planet starts to, as a whole, vibrate at that frequency. You know, right now. Have you heard the prophecy of the Rainbow Warriors?
No, but it sounds really interesting. The prophecy of the Rainbow Warriors.
So there's a prophecy, yeah. I'll need to find out more information about it. But basically, it says that this was written a long time ago, that a time will come when 144,000 people will be called to save the planet. And these people will dance, and they will, I think it was like, they use lots of different analogies like dancing and, you know, crying and puking and all this stuff. And it's very reminiscent of what we do during an ayahuasca ceremony, you know, the way we're dancing to drum beats, the way we're drinking medicine, we're traveling to other dimensions and we're puking. And it's like these people are being called to the medicine, and our role is to restore the harmony on the planet, you know, to balance the masculine and the feminine energy, so that when this 144,000 people start calling to the medicine and start changing the vibration, the rest of the world will eventually follow. You know, it's like there's a critical mass. You know, like when 5% of a population or 10% of a population believe in something, then eventually it becomes a trend and it just takes over. You know, it was like when Christianity started at a very small number, and then it grew and grew and grew until it hit a critical mass, and then it just took over. You know, so right now I feel like this is what's happening with plant medicine. Just now, there's maybe 4 or 3 or 2% of the world are interested in psychedelics, are interested in plant medicine, and slowly it's becoming, the numbers are becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, until eventually in a matter of time they'll hit a critical mass and it'll just become a part of life for everyone. And then that's when we'll see the biggest and the quickest shift in the energy of the planet. That's when we'll see systems crumble. That's when leaders will start to be coming from a feminine energy. Females will start to lead the world, or men with feminine energy will start to lead the world, because right now it's just masculine energy dominates everything. The top of businesses, at the tops of political systems, education systems, everywhere are dominated by men with male energy. Because what kind of people get to the top? The kind of people that get to the top are the people that are hungry for power. Yeah, but people that just want to love and be happy and peace, they just kind of exist in the lower levels of life. They don't have much money. They kind of don't have much influence. They just live happily in their own little bubbles. But what we need to do is we need to lift these people up, like people like me and you, who are in touch with our feminine side. But we also have this drive for success, this need to spread our message, this need to have a podcast. We are what's needed, because we are going to have a big impact in the world. And if only we can impact like the future Bill Gates, the future Richard Branson, the future, Elon Musk is a big one. You know, like I think he's kind of the first of many people he seems to be very in alignment with trying to serve the planet in a good way, creating free energy. And and it's ironic that his business is called Tesla, because Nikola Tesla was another scientist that wanted free energy for all, you know? So I see people like him propping up, and I just hope there's more people like him in the future, you know, creating more businesses that are just positive for the planet, you know? The
creation of the new world, I feel like, is really, I know, actually, it's not even a feeling. It's just a deep knowing. The creation of this new world is not going to be followed by the laws of capitalism. We're going to see a more conscious capitalism come through, you know, like John Mackey talks about, the founder and CEO of Whole Foods. And I totally resonate with what you're saying, man, because the masculine energy is about completion. It's about getting things done, which is good. Like, I love chopping wood. I love being a man, right? I enjoy, I enjoy my body. I love everything that it stands for. At the same time, there is this new world where when we have the capitalism that's more conscious, it has to have a masculine feminine balance. There's no way around it. There's no way around it because in order for you and I to have these conversations, which by the way, 30 years ago, we would have been totally laughed off the airwaves. They'd have been like, look at these guys talking about their emotions. You know, it would have been crazy. But the reason it's received now, and the reason why we're getting so many comments and why so many people are connecting with us is because they feel it too, man. We all feel this. We all feel this massive shedding that we're going through as a collective right now. And that shedding, if you look at human history, if you look at human evolution, it has happened every 1,000 years or so where there's a massive shedding of the way we treated people. Can we jam on this for a minute? Think about 5,000 years ago, women were beaten. They were owned like property. Even 500 years ago, less than 200 years ago, women couldn't even vote. Then we have men controlling things through the patriarchy, which the patriarchy did have some positives, but the overwhelming majority of it was about completion, ownership, domination, and control. And now we're seeing these radical systems come through where I've had many female bosses that I've loved and trusted. I speak and communicate with my partner, Carrie Michelle, where it's like, we're in this together. But that's the old adage that we're crumbling to the ground, where it's like, you do what I say because I'm the man and you're the woman. It's all bullshit. Like we're all human beings. We're here to love and connect with one another. There are certain things about women that I love and respect so much, you know, like their ability to multitask and remember things and hold space. And then there's certain things about being a man and just being with my men in men's groups and even being here with you, man, where it's just a different energy. And I think we're not all the same from a gender perspective, but we are all the same from an energy and a human perspective. And that's the truth. And that's what we're working towards.
100%. Yeah. I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because me, I got in touch with my feminine energy, especially during Rythmia, you know, and I really respected women and feminine energy so much more. I mean, I've always respected women, but I understood my own feminine energy more and how much it's needed, you know, and that ability to be vulnerable, because all the men I know, especially where I'm from Scotland, you know, so here
there's some burly ass men in Scotland.
Oh, big time, you know.
Yep.
And they're very much, it's all about drinking and being tough and being strong and not crying and being in touch with your, you know, physicality and others. Very, you know, you being crying is a weakness here. And even doing this right now, like lots of Scottish guys would be looking at thinking, oh my God, like they'd be laughing at me, you know.
Yeah.
But the real strength is being able to be vulnerable and to put the shield down and take on the world. That's a real strength. That's the sign of a real strong person. And that's why women are so strong, because, I mean, look at women, the way they deal with relationships. When a relationship ends, women will cry, they'll get together with their friends and they'll cry and they'll burn things in a fire and they'll have a ceremony and then they'll get over it very quickly, you know. Whereas men won't deal with that shit. They'll just go out to drink in the pub. It'll take them months and months and months, and they won't deal with it. And then 2 years later, they'll still be crying. And two years later, they'll be saying, oh my God, she was the one, I let her go. And then 5 years later, they'll be thinking about her. And 10 years later, they won't have let go, you know. And this was me. I remember my first girlfriend when I was 21. I was still crying over her when I was 31 because I couldn't let go, you know. But I'm pretty sure she got over me within a matter of weeks or months, you know, because women have this emotional strength where they can deal with life and the obstacles thrown at them with a real strength, you know. Whereas me, I was very weak. You know, I wasn't able to cry. I wasn't able to deal with things in a way that women were. So being able to get in touch with my feminine side was a big, great, amazing tool that the medicine gave me, because now I'm able to really, you know, be emotional. I'm able to talk freely with you like this and I'll understand my emotions, and it's okay to be vulnerable, you know. In fact, my last journey, my 12th journey at Rythmia, me being vulnerable is what brought me to my knees and allowed me to propose to my girlfriend. It was that vulnerability.
That's right.
It was me letting go of my shield that gave me the confidence to a room of 80 people. Literally, I was crying and I was on my knees and I kissed my girlfriend's feet, you know. I mean, how much more vulnerable can you get, you know? And if you know me, like people who know me from my past, they'll tell you they could never imagine me crying, never mind being on my knees, never mind kissing someone's feet. That was just not me, you know? Yeah. So to be able to do that just showed me like how much I've moved in such a short space of time. And it's all about getting in touch with your feminine energy, you know? That's what I'm so happy about.
There's so many people commenting right now, Kash. Yes, masculine and feminine is the balance. Male energy, female energy complement each other. Raina says vulnerability in men is beautiful. We know this. Look, we're doing our best. Okay, this is why we're here having this conversation, because vulnerability. My friend Drew Manning from Fit to Fat to Fit. I'll tag him in the comments. He has a tattoo on his arm, Kash, right here that says vulnerability is strength. And when I saw that, I was like, this guy's got balls. This is a guy in the fitness industry that is putting that kind of a message on his body, that is teaching other men that it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel. And by the way, the whole reason why we were taught that it wasn't okay is because the old paradigm was that if you show your emotions and if you show how you really feel, you're a pussy. You're weak. You don't have what it takes to succeed as a quote man. But if I look at where that even comes from, it comes from fear, dude. It comes from fear. Yeah, man. Fear of showing emotion is the same fear of being seen. It's the exact same fear. And this is the point that we're really on right now, is if we're going to live our life well, if we're going to have this new understanding that we're all the same, we're different, but we're the same, it has to come from a place of freedom. Everybody just wants freedom, dude. Yeah. We all just want to live our life free and live our life well. Yeah. And in order for us to get there, it takes acceptance of what is, and understanding, and a commitment to growth. And I think everyone here on this, just give us a hell yes in the comments if you believe this, because this is what Kash and I are really talking about today. And this is your whole mission with Educate, Inspire, Change. This is my mission with Wellness Force, man. How do we live our life well? What does that actually mean to live our life well? I think it's different for everybody, man. A life well lived.
Yeah. I agree. And it's funny you talk about this now, because one of the biggest takeaways from my last journey was my need to be in nature and to create an environment that's the best place for my children and for me to flourish, So like I've been debating whether or not to live somewhere that's more in line with nature, where people are more in line with spirituality. Yeah. So, and I'm also thinking about, and I'm also speaking to people like you and people that I met on my plant medicine journey, and we're all saying the same thing. We're all talking about like how good it would be to buy a big bit of land and just have our own little community, self-sufficient community, eco-friendly community. We can all look after each other. We can all live off the land, have healthy food. We can educate each other. We can really look after our children together. We can grow together. We can create businesses together. Yeah. Everything is better together. I look at where I live in the city, and there's like a row of houses, and every house is closed off. Some neighbors will never see each other. Some neighbors will never talk to each other. It's like and even when you go into the house, some people have food in their bedroom alone, while their parents have food in the living room alone, and everyone's separate. There's no togetherness, Whereas when you're doing plant medicines, everyone is together in the ceremony space together. Everyone eats together, talks together, and bonds together, So for me, I think the future is going to be lots of small communities all around the planet. Yep. And it's going to be self-sufficient communities, that rely on themselves for their own power, their own electricity, their own food. And this is going to be the future. I was talking to a woman who runs a retreat in Spain, or she's going to run a retreat in Spain. And she said to me, she had a journey with ayahuasca. And what the ayahuasca done was it took her over the planet, and she was flying around the globe, and she was seeing all these big black spots, and she was asking the medicine, what are these black spots? And the medicine said, these are the cities. So like all the big cities are going to be like are dark places with dark energy, and the medicine told her to take your daughter and take her to a place where there's nature, where there's more medicine, and there's people that are vibrating at your frequency, because these are going to be the communities that are going to light the world up in the future. And without, and all these dark cities are going to get worse and worse before it gets better. There's going to be more drugs, more prostitution, more depression, more suicide, and this is all going to gather in the places where like London, New York, all these big cities. So like for me, I feel like the future for me and people around me, I'm putting this out there just now to people that are watching this. If you want to build a community, get in touch, because I want to do it. I know people that want to do it. If we can all put our money together, put our minds together, our hearts together, there's very cheap land in beautiful countries like Ecuador, Mexico, Costa Rica, Spain, Portugal, wherever you want to go in the world. There's places where you can buy land cheap, and you can build your own communities, and you can lead the life that you've always wanted to live, and you can live it with people that are your real soul tribe, your family, your spirit family.
Yeah, I love this, man, because literally I'm flashing back to the conversation I had at dinner 2 nights ago. We were talking exactly about what you're describing. And I thought, what would actually be the best situation for all is that we give each other space, we give each other freedom, and we give each other connection. Like I'm talking an acreage with small plots that are divided with space and greenery around them. We have so much land in this world. The whole scarcity mindset about how do we feed the world? The population's going to overgrow the world. Do you guys realize how big the world is? Have you looked at a map? Yeah. Have you actually looked at a map? Like, we're good, y'all. Everything's going to be fine. So there's enough space for us to share and love and connect and give each other that freedom. And I think really someone that talked about this, I'll link this in the show notes for Wellness Force too, Kash. There was a guy named Buckminster Fuller. And he shared a lot of what you're describing to us. And he talked about this concept of tensegrity, biotensegrity. He was actually the one that created the structures and domes. Shout out to Buckminster Fuller. If anybody watching this right now, if you know about Buckminster Fuller, if you've heard of biotensegrity, let us know, because it's exactly what Kash is talking about. I love this concept because he really went on record, one of the first people back in the 60s, Kash, of saying, when you give without expectation, the universe rewards you. When you have courage to meet your dreams, the universe rewards you. I mean, he was dropping knowledge from a business perspective way long ago. This guy was the OG. Yeah. Have you ever heard of Buckminster Fuller?
I've heard about it. I've shared some of his quotes on my page before. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's exactly in alignment with what you're describing, because I'm thinking about like the excitement that I feel in my chest when you and I explore this type of language and this type of conversation is, if we're talking about it, there's hundreds of millions of people that are feeling it. They're just not voicing it out. They're just not talking about it, but they're feeling it. If you're feeling us, say hell yeah, because this is, someone says Bucky. That's his name, Bucky Fuller. I've loved this conversation with you, man. We covered a lot of ground too. And what else can we explore here to leave people with some kind of action, educate, inspire, change? The last word is change. Living your life well is wellness for us. We're about living our life well. In order to live well takes inspired action.
Yeah, I would say in terms of action, like if you've been inspired by this podcast, or if you're like on a spiritual journey of your own, I would say first off, like start the daily routines, make little changes in your life where you're going to be happier, healthier, go for long walks, wake up earlier, eat healthier, change your diet. Everything starts from here, So if you can look after yourself better and have a clear body and a clear mind and a healthy body, then you can take on the world better. And I would then say start doing your own research. Like for me, for example, I love people like Terence McKenna, Alan Watts, Jordan Peterson is a new one. And I love, listening to their podcasts. I love reading their books and watching the documentaries, just educating myself with all this information and then going out into the world and seeing how can I apply what I've learned to my life, So like me, for example, I love communicating. I love inspiring. So I'm putting my energy into educate, inspire, change, into creating documentaries, into building this podcast. Other people might have different talents, and some people might be healers and they might want to become a Reiki healer, or they might want to become a musician, or they might want to become a yoga teacher, or they might want to whatever you're good at, whatever you feel called to, find your passion and do that. I think that's what I want to tell people, is just like find what you love, find what calls to you, and then push that, and don't let anything come in the way. If you've got a job, do it in your part-time job. Do it at night time. Normally when you're watching Netflix for 2 hours a night, stop that and focus your attention on doing what you love. There's plenty of time in the day. And people have time to to text, to go to Instagram. I mean, look at your phone. How much time do you spend on Instagram a day? I would say it's hours and hours for the average person. Who's on Instagram. Cut that down and focus on your goals and your dreams and your ambitions, and watch what happens. You are enough, And
I got this nugget to share too. And I don't know why, I've just got like kind of that happy cry feeling as I'm telling you this. The nugget I want to share with you guys that I fully believe is true is that as you build your dream, as you do the thing that that your heart wants you to do, there's going to be challenge. And if you can just look at it from this lens, if you can just look at your day job, your challenges, everything that happens in order for you to fuel your dream, in order for you to build your dream, just start seeing all this stuff like scaffolding. When a building is built and you're building the building, which is your dream, it's the thing that your heart is pulling you towards. There's going to be scaffolding, you guys. You got to do jobs sometimes that you don't love. You got to have conversations that are difficult. You got to do inner work that's challenging. All these things are scaffolding. But if you don't build the scaffolding, and if you're angry at the fact that you get to build the scaffolding, the building will never erect. You'll never be able to have your dream fully in place and be working on your dream if you don't surrender to the fact that you get to build the scaffolding too. And that was something that I fought for a long time. And so if you take anything from our conversation, man, which I've so loved, Kash, I'm so grateful for our ability to connect and share information. Yeah. And I just have a lot of love and respect for what you're doing, because I think that it's a mirror of what I stand for. It's a mirror of Wellness Force. And just super grateful for you, dude. And grateful for everyone that's watched with us and commented and just been a part of this movement, been a part of this conversation.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm so grateful for you as well. And it's funny because I watched the Joe Rogan podcast, and he has like 2 or 3 key friends that always come on, like Duncan Trussell, and 2 or 3 people that he's always doing podcasts with. And I see that with us. I'm hoping that maybe we can do this more regularly, so we can interview each other and interview other guests together, and just support each other. So I'm really happy to be in this journey with you. I'm excited to see what's going to come in the future as well, man.
Well, you guys, this has been truly epic. Kash, I always ask a signature question on my show. I don't know if you'd like to close it out, but I'll just ask this one thing, man. You look at everything you've been through from, going on the computer in 2012 and starting Educate, Inspire, Change, to going through your lessons, looking at yourself, like all the things that you've done. How do you see wellness? Like, what is wellness? What is living a life well? How would you define wellness in your life?
Wellness for me is loving yourself. If you love yourself, everything else falls into place. It's very cliche, but people say love is the answer, but it really is. If you can find that love within and just love yourself, then everything else falls into place. Because when you love yourself, you're healthier, you're happier, you'll do things that will motivate you and inspire you, and you'll be the light for others as well. So that's the answer. The answer is love, man.
Mic drop, y'all. All right, you guys, this is Kash and Josh saying goodbye. We'll see you again real soon, because I know this is going to be a regular thing. And go do something today that allows you to feel exactly what Kash was talking about. And that is love. Just love somebody today. Maybe it's yourself.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Peace.
Peace.
Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.